A very good evening to our viewers. Thank you for joining us tonight on the Evening Review. My name is Taiwan Jabela, your host. Tonight on the platform, we are joined by Barry Rukoro. He is one of the people who have put up their hands for the position of president for Nudo, the opposition National Unity Democratic Organization that was supposed to have its elective congress this last weekend, but it had to be postponed, apparently due to Barry himself. Thank you, Barry, for making time. So you were the men of the moment this past weekend. Everybody's talking about Barry Rukoro. Is he a member of Nudo? Some are saying he's not a member of Nudo. And apparently, you were saying your attitude when you went into that Congress is that it's either Barry or nobody else. Your response?
You see, Trevo, of course, people will have to find excuses as to where they failed to organize such an important platform of the Nudo party. An event that only happens once in 5 years. An event for which the administration and management of Nudo had 5 years to prepare and yet failed. Nobody spoke to me. Nobody, at no stage did I ever say me or nothing.
Yeah. Apparently, supporters were chanting, saying, "Is Barry or not?"
No, it's not my supporters.
Yeah.
It was one person by the name of Rukoro who posted this, and which the president of Nudo used as an excuse as to why. But mind you, Riro is not even a delegate to the Congress. He will have been in no position whatsoever to disrupt the Congress because he will not have been in the room. So for the president of an organization to use that as an excuse is really petty. Secondly, the police was there in a very jovial mood, saying that this is the most peaceful Congress they had to oversee in terms of there was no violence, people were mingling. We had our people camped at Dobra purposefully to avoid them getting intoxicated and coming there in a disorganized manner. My people were the most organized.
And it was a good number.
Of course.
Yeah.
In fact, what happened is, because we were outside town, nobody had an idea of the numbers that we had. Only then, when they realized that, no, the numbers are speaking for themselves, did they then call, at 7:45, call a National Executive Committee meeting.
On Saturday.
1 hour, 45 minutes after the supposed commencement of the Congress, they called a National Executive Committee meeting at which the president of the party unilaterally cancelled a Congress that was convened and called for by the National Council, which I, at this stage, do not think is legally correct, constitutionally correct to do so. Those are the things that we will look in as we go further.
Absolutely.
But maybe to share with you what we suspect the real reasons are. We think the party never, for these last 5 years, intended to organize a Congress and to have a new leadership elected.
Why do you say that?
One, in a normal administration, when you plan to have such an important platform, you budget for that event to take place because it costs money. Nudo had to postpone this Congress 3 times this year because of a lack of funds. The Congress of Nudo was supposed to happen on the 3rd of March. It did not happen. And then it was postponed to April. It did not happen. And then it was postponed to now, last weekend. It still did not happen. Because of all the first two postponements because of funds. So the party did not, for 5 years, plan. Both just the general plan and a budget to plan, to organize the Congress. Two, for you to have a Congress, there must be delegates coming to the Congress. Until now, as I sit here in this room, Nudo does not have a master list of Congress attendance. The people who must come to the Congress. 2 hours after 1800 hours, the supposed time of the commencement of Congress, the party was still registering new members, new delegates at the gate from a car, issuing membership cards. How do you produce a master list 2 hours after commencement of
because it must be scrutinized by, especially by candidates.
It must be published.
Yeah.
A master list must be published. The stakeholders must have an opportunity to study it. And if there are any irregularities, they must have the time and possibility to object against it. That did not happen.
Yeah. Let's talk about your membership, Barry.
No, let's exhaust the reasons why.
Please proceed.
I'm saying the party was not did not in any way plan to host the Congress. In terms of Article 16.2 of the Nudo Constitution, the party must, the president must submit a president's report. The Secretary General must submit a Secretary General's report, which include the financials of the party. These two documents, very important documents, must be submitted to the NEC, to the National Executive, for consideration. And once they are happy, these documents must be submitted to the National Council. Only then will they be submitted to the Congress. Then the National Executive Committee meeting that sat on Thursday and the National Council meeting that sat on Friday and Saturday morning did not consider. No reports were submitted to those bodies, which are obligatory documents. And mind you, the last 3 National Council meetings rejected the financials of the party. Are you with me?
Yes. I wasn't aware of that.
Yes.
I wasn't aware of that fact.
Yes. Now, and there was a committee at the last National Council meeting established to compile a financial report. The Secretary General made it so difficult for this committee to commence with that process. That committee did not even have one meeting. For 2-3 months, they did not have one meeting. The financials of the party is in shambles. Is in shambles. And that is why the most interesting thing, you think that I have said it all. The most interesting thing is there was a time when the National Executive Committee and the National Council considered to cancel this meeting, the Congress, even before it was cancelled. And then they had to decide between 2 alternatives. One, to have just an elective Congress. You go in there, you elect, you go out. Without any reports.
Like it's the only agenda item.
Yes, as the only agenda item. And then, and the other alternative was to have a normal Congress where reports are submitted. And the National Council voted on this. Can you believe it? That you vote between a normal practice and an anomaly, and you adopt an anomaly. You adopt that we are not going to report. We are not going to report anything to Congress. The president will not have a report submitted. The Secretary General will not have a report submitted. There will be no financial reports submitted. Then we can have a Congress.
Yeah.
What do we do at Congress? People go in, they vote a new leadership, and we leave. If anybody, after a week, want to know what happens, some of us will be absolved because we are no more members of the leadership. Nobody will ask me and say, but what did you do with the resources of the party? So this is the reality of why the Congress did not take place. The party was simply not in a position to have a Congress.
So it's not Barry.
It's not Barry. Barry is being used as a scapegoat.
Yeah.
Barry was there, calm. My people were there, calm. Nothing happened. You can ask the police. You can identify the police gentleman who was there. We were there telling stories about football and so on the whole time. So
I hear you. So
my membership, you wanted to ask?
Yes, because people are saying the man is hell-bent on destroying the party because he's not a member anyways.
Now, very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. I don't want to go too much into the history of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody knows. But my documents were submitted. I was calm. I didn't put anybody under pressure during the period that I had to wait. Yeah. Because the evidence was there. You know, I love doing things. I love doing more than I'm supposed to do. Yeah. So when I'm a member of something, my membership is not just bound to, my branch, I'm here and this is my space. No, yeah. I do more. Mm-hmm. I live in about 5 constituencies in Omaheke. I'm active in 3 branches in Omaheke because of, I live in this constituency. I have 50 cattle here, 50 goats. So if people are collecting money, because I live here in this community, I contribute. Yes. If the party is fundraising, I contribute because I have a business. I have a cattle business running there. Hmm. So I do that in Aminus, I do that in Oshombinde, I do that in Hobabis, wherever. Hmm. So I have enough evidence to show, and everybody, out of their own will, wrote to the party to confirm my contribution and my commitment and as a party member. So some of the people sitting on the other side, they know that I'm a party member, but because of the competition, the level of competition I bring to the presidency, the elections for the presidency, they want to deny that. So yesterday, last weekend, on Thursday, when the next set, I was declared not a member. On Friday, when the NC set, I was declared not a member. Then the NC went to sit on Saturday, and I became a member. You understand? Now I'm a member now. As I sit here, I'm a member of Nudo. Yeah. Declared, fully member of Nudo.
Good standing.
Yes, I overheard even the president of the party said, now I'm a member. Uh-huh. So somebody called the president and asked her a direct question, is Barry a member or not? Then she said, no, now he's a member. Uh-huh. So can you believe that? Yeah. After denying for so long. So now now everybody understands that I'm a member since 2003.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. We go for a very short break and return with Barry Rukoro. Welcome back. We are having this important conversation with Barry Rukoro about the events of last weekend. Now, Barry, we spoke on Sunday. I called you and because I needed comment and for an article that we wanted to do for the newspaper, and you mentioned something that I thought was very poignant. You said that Nudo, you were urging members of the party to say, irrespective of what has transpired, members of the party must go and register, and come November they must really vote for the party, irrespective of whether it's you or someone else that is leading the party. And your reason was that Nudo is such an important platform for the community that it serves. And I thought that was a very important message. If you can expand on what you meant by that.
Yes. You see, every community must have its own institutions. If you go to other communities, you know, the Jews, the Indians in the US or in the UK, you know, you go to any given country, you find an Indian restaurant. You find people selling Indian materials, Indian shirts, Indian dresses, and so on. That's how communities are supposed to be governed, to have their own institutions, their political parties that represent them, civil society organizations, schools, supermarkets, selling food that are related to their culture and the way they do things. So Nudo is an institution historically of the Ovaherero people, like the Ovaherero Traditional Authority or the Chief Council at the time, and so on. And all the other communities in this country have their own institutions of that nature. And therefore, we must do everything in our power to preserve that. As Herero people, when other people come to join and expand the scope and reach of Nudo, they are welcome to do so. But every institution has a base and an origin and a history, which we cannot deny. So in that space, when we speak about things that have to do with the community from which Nudo hails, Nudo must speak up on behalf of that community. You know, on the national platform. So that the community that is represented by that party or by that institution must also be heard at the national platform.
Absolutely.
Without a voice at that platform, we are doomed to become second-hand citizens of this country. And that is why it is important that we go out there, we register, we vote, and we vote for a voice in the National Assembly for our people, for our communities.
And that doesn't make, because people will always come back and say, because of course, because you are right. Every political organization in this country is anchored into a particular community. But once you ask organizations whether they are now tribal projects or not, then the conversation changes. If somebody says that,
I'm not going to try and be too nationalistic. You know, I'm old enough to understand the history of this country and where we are coming from, the journey we have traveled. And I prefer to be honest and deal with the problems that arise from my history in an honest and open way. And say, guys, we have to deal, this is the reality and we have to deal with it. Rather than deny that Nudo was never a project of the Chief Council of Hosea Kutako. That's a lie. That's a lie. The reality is that Nudo is a party formed by the Chief's Council of Hosea Kutako, and therefore makes it a project that represents a particular community. Now, whether we are prepared to embrace the current and the future Namibia is a different matter altogether. That's a discussion for another day. But for today, we must preserve this organization because it represents us and our aspirations and our interest. And to a certain extent, also the dignity of the people that it represents.
Yeah.
So if it is put in this kind of shambles, it also does not help us to preserve our own dignity. And
theoretically, if Nudo was removed out of the political space, it's no longer represented in parliament, it's no longer a platform that it is today, what would be the consequences to that community?
The consequences will be very, very serious. Will be very, very serious.
Yeah.
But it will need men and women who have the capacity to strategically think as to how that space will be occupied. Yeah. Maybe with a new entity. That's a discussion for a different day. At the moment, we must do everything in our power to preserve what we have. But if the captured current leadership is adamant to break it down, then we must start to think out of the box and maybe come up with something better, cleaner, and more strategic than we have today.
Yeah. What do you have to say to Joseph Kawandenge? Because he has been on your case, not only during the last weekend. Since you sort of emerged in this contest, he always had a thing or two to say about you, that you're not a member, that he has, the administrator of the party has checked his records. And then he issued a statement late on Saturday to emphasize that point again. What do you have to say to him if you were facing him man-to-man today?
No, in fact, it's very interesting. Very interesting that you are asking me that question, because I called Mr. Kawandenge on Saturday morning. And I told him, Kawandenge, your fate is in my hands. And
what did you mean by that?
What I meant by that is he either allows me to participate and win, or he continues to hide behind my membership or my lack of membership and face the music.
Yeah.
Because we now understand clearly that they were not ready to host a Congress because they have no financial reports. They have they cannot report for how they use the money. And that by implication says the Electoral Commission of Namibia may be in a position of misleading financial reports.
Yeah.
And that in itself may put his fate in my hands.
Yeah.
As to how far we can go
on
this matter, if they persist to say that they have now captured the party through collapsing the Congress, and they continue to do that, we will put pressure on the ECN to take a second look at the documents they have. Maybe there's some criminality there.
Yeah.
Maybe. So I want him that what you are doing now is not going to help you because your fate is in my hands.
Yeah. In our conversation on Sunday also, Barry, you spoke about the legacy of Clemens Kapuo, the chief, and this
Kutako.
is Hosea Kutako, sorry. Yeah. So Hosea Kutako, such a prominent figure, not only within the Waherero community, but in Namibia. And he came up with this platform called Nudo. He led it successfully in very, very difficult times. And today, I look at Nudo today, and it's a party in chaos, a party that cannot, how can a political party of Hosea Kutako not, postpone the hosting of Congress 3 times. That's just, it's dragging the man's legacy into the mud. And the party not having just basics not right. The number of delegates is a scramble even to bring people together to say, look, there are enough people to attend as delegates. That's not a party of force, Kutago.
But what you are not aware of is that the National Council on Saturday morning, on Friday morning, was called off because there was no quorum. Do you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yes. Last Friday morning, when all the delegates were here, the National Council was called off because there was no quorum.
That is just shocking.
So that is the situation we are in.
Yeah, yeah.
The people who are currently in charge of this party have no interest in running a proper organization.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you are put in charge of an organization of this nature, you must do the things that are required of you as a Secretary General or as a President.
Mm.
Whether people accuse you of eating money or whatever, at least the organization must be running. The congresses, the meetings, and so on.
100%.
You will not believe it. And that is why, for me, the ECN is also a complicit in this whole thing.
Mm.
The party constitution subscribed that every year there must be a minimum of 3 National Council meetings every year.
Mm.
For the past 5 years, the party only had 3 National Council meetings. Only 3.
Yeah.
That is less than 1 council meeting a year over a period, on average.
So on average, there are a year can pass essentially without...
Yeah, in fact, 2 years passed without any.
Yeah, yeah.
So now, and that to me is a clear dereliction of duty by the leadership. The leadership was absent for periods during these 5 years. The leadership was absent. There was nobody running the organization.
Yeah.
Because you run through the National Council and the NEC, you run the party. If the party is not meeting for a whole year, what is happening in between? So that is, there's no budget.
Yeah.
Understand? There's no budget. This party has never, over these last 5 years, approved a budget. There has never been management reports at NEC meetings.
Mm.
There have never been financial reports approved at any NC meeting. How can we then sit here and say the ECN have audited financial reports?
Yeah.
Please. Excuse me.
I hear you, Barry. Well, this is all the time we had. Yeah. Thank you for coming through.
Good.
All the best. That is Barry Rukoro. He is a presidential candidate for Nudo, saying that he is the man for that job. Thank you for watching.